Hi Scott, the next video in your series here is how to edit and add new posts to your blog here. So um, like before, we come here to the back end. Once you get logged in, of course, you'll see the menu here. Posts is where you go to see the blog posts. So we'll go ahead and click on that. You'll see a listing of all of the posts that are already on the site. If you want to edit one of those, you can just come right in here and edit away. When you first log in, it might be true that this Yoast thing is open and it's up here and in your way, so don't be confused by that. These sections always you can drag and drop around here. So the Yoast is the SEO plugin. You can just push that down here, get it out of your way. And then you'll be able to see, here's the text section. Here's where you set the publish date that shows up here. And this is where you set the excerpt, which controls what shows up here in the what we call the blog archive before somebody clicks into it. So you control what shows up here before the click, and that's what's called the excerpt field right here. So let's just go ahead and add a new one. You can say add new. We haven't made any changes to that one, so we're fine. And we're presented with a blank one here. So let's just go ahead and give it a and I will grab some Latin over here off screen to populate the post with. So it's much like a Word document. You have some basic editing tools here. If you do end up writing something rather long, you might want to help break it up with some headlines and such. So you can see that this says paragraph here. You can format that with a headline. Now this doesn't work quite like a Word document because this tags it for use for SEO. So you can see if we look here in this view, it's put an H1 around that. So you can't, use that as a styling thing on just part of a line of text. It'll do the whole thing. So that's just a note. The rest of these do work just like Word. You can just highlight here and just say bold and then say here just italic. But in terms of setting this for whether it's just body text or a headline of a descending importance, that is always, there has to be a return in between before you can go back to the paragraph format again. If you want to insert pictures in here, you can do that as well. So we can just come right up here and say add media. It presents us with the media library. If what you need is not in here, you can upload a new file and select the file, browse, just like you're attaching a photo to an email or something. But since we're just doing an example here, let's just grab a picture of Maureen here, insert into the post. If there were some text here or whatever, it kind of starts acting funny. So if we click right on the picture here, we get some formatting options. So if we want it to wrap with the text around it, we can do that. And that way we can keep, adding some text here. And it'll wrap around the picture and it looks a little bit nicer. So the other part here is the featured image, and that's how you control what shows up here in this, what we call the archive. So the featured image is what gives an image to the listing view of your post. We already mentioned it, but here is the date published. So that is what controls what goes right up here if you want to backdate something. This Scott's blog part is going to automatically show up if it's an actual post compared to a link out. So that's the next thing we're going to show here. Date published. The excerpt is what controls, again, this little excerpt of text that shows up before they click into the post. And then the last thing here is whether it's an external post or not. So you can see that on these, which obviously this is a post from Huffington Post. So this one you don't click into, it launches in a new window. You put in the link for where the actual article lives. And you just put in an excerpt here so that people know that it's going out. And then, of course, it also has this little icon, which means it's going to launch in a new window. And so if you click the external post, then it wants the link for that. So if you're, linking to an external story, just like before when we were talking about this, we would just copy the link from the actual story. And then we would go in here and paste the link in, and then we know that it's exactly right. This listenable is for if you're linking to a podcast or something that is audio related, and really all that does is instead of it saying read more, that changes it to listen here. It just changes the label on the button is all that this item down here does. If you are in the middle of putting together a blog post and you're not ready to publish it yet, you don't want it to be public, but you don't want to lose your work, what you just do is come right up here and hit Save Draft. And that way then you can preview your post and see what that looks like, what you've done so far. But you can see that if you come to the blog feed and you refresh it, it's not going to show up here yet, and it won't be indexed by Google or anything until you go ahead and publish it. It's gonna remain in draft form until you hit the actual publish button. So that's how you save it without going live. If you do accidentally publish it before you're ready, oh, we need a date here. We need an excerpt, apparently. All right, so don't worry, this is only going to be live for a second, but if you were to accidentally publish it, and then you see, oops, I've got this new thing here, I don't have a thing on it, oh, I've got Latin text on it, whoops. You don't have to delete it, you just come right back here and you change this from published to draft, you hit OK, hit update, and that changes it back into a draft. So it'll take it right away again without deleting it. So there's how you control the draft. So again, here's the title. Here's your text area that allows you quite a few formatting options. Here's where you put the featured image, which is what shows up here in the blog feed. Date published, the excerpt. If it's an external post, go ahead and check the box, and then you would require a link here. And then the listenable box, which just changes the label on the button from read more to listen more, or listen here. I think that is it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.